Hi, I'm Max Keiser. This is the Keiser Report. Only one day to go before the 9th birthday of Bitcoin. Just think about that. In 9 years, it went from absolutely unknown piece of software to world-shaking, Wall Street transforming, society-busting, mega important thing. Hello.
Yes, Max. It was January 3rd, 2009, where Bitcoin was first mined. Genesis block happened January 3rd, 2009. So it's his 9th birthday tomorrow. And we will be celebrating with Jameson Lopp and a whole bunch of people out in Durham, North Carolina.
Big party in Durham on Bitcoin's 9th birthday since the Genesis block. And it's gone through a lot of biblical drama. You think about it. The Bitcoin Jesus became Bitcoin Judas. You had the Old Testament of the original gangsters really gave way to the New Testament of the flash of the pan CNBC fast money types. And it's been attempted to be crucified several times as well. And it's been reborn several times. So it's kind of like the Bible on steroids.
Well, the money changers, didn't they get kicked out of the temple or something like that, and all their money and coins splattered all over the place? That has happened on many of the exchanges. The Bitcoin exchanges have been hacked and all sorts of crazy stuff. And of course, many people have been piling into Bitcoin in the past year, especially. 2017 is probably when most people heard about Bitcoin and got involved or bought their first Bitcoin. Certainly, even people involved in our show, and we've been talking about Bitcoin since 2011, 2 years after its birth. It was $2, $3 back then. And we talked about it many, many times. We've interviewed all the top players in the Bitcoin space, the top guys, and cameramen and editors and executives of our show have been watching these episodes for years. And it wasn't until September, October that they finally started saying, how do I get one of these? Where do I buy it? And you're like, wait, you waited until it was like $20,000 to even think about buying? We told you to buy it at 2 or 3.
That's the amazing thing, isn't it? People that we've been talking about it for years, finally, when it went to 18, 19, 20,000, were suddenly curious about it and started buying it. But that's the way it always is with these types of ideas. They're completely dismissed at first. And then when they end up changing the game, people suddenly get interested. So that's not unusual.
I also want to say, because a lot of people will only be new to this and they have endured the drama of what's been happening with Bitcoin since the futures were introduced and since the huge drops and a huge volatility, Bcash or Bitcoin Cash, and all this sort of drama over the Christmas period on these exchanges. They might be alarmed. So what I would say is that you should go to YouTube, enter Keiser Report Bitcoin, and look back through the years that this is kind of normal for this whole area. It's, you have to think of it like that sort of that Cambrian explosion, the pre-Cambrian explosion of evolution. These are ideas being explored and a lot of failures and some great successes. In fact, humans come out of the successes that happened in the pre-Cambrian explosion.
Well, remember the dot-com crash. The whole NASDAQ blew up, dropped 70, 80%, trillions of dollars disappeared. All kinds of companies went vaporized, but from the mess came Google, Apple was reborn, Amazon. So these are the winners, and now they dominate global trade and global market action. So the same thing with Bitcoin. They'll probably, in another huge drop, as we will probably see, the survivors will come up and be world-beating companies and world-beating applications and coins.
I don't know if we've had any more gifts this year, but I'm sure there will be many more forks in 2018. So it might be good to hold your Bitcoin, and hopefully there will also be clarity because, I think a lot of people were holding through 2017, any Americans in the Bitcoin space, because of the lack of clarity from the IRS. Is it an asset? Is it a commodity? Is it a property? Is it, is it income? Do you pay capital gains? What is it? So I know that's why I haven't really sold any, because I don't know what the tax implications are. But I want to, talk to Jameson Lopp. We will be with him on the birthday of Bitcoin, on the 9th birthday. And first I want to say, because of course we've had a volatile Christmas, the past few weeks that has been very volatile over Bitcoin. It just kept on going up. It was parabolic up. And you would see down days of 10, 15%, and people like flipped out. They were scared, panicked. This, of course, is normal for our experience that we've witnessed through Bitcoin through the past 9 years. But here's Jameson Lopp with Bitcoin obituaries proclaimed per year. In 2010, there was 1 death of Bitcoin proclaimed. In 2011, there were 6. I remember that year. In 2012, there was only 1. In 2013, there were 15. In 2014, there were 29. In 2015, there were 39. In 2016, there were 28. And in 2017, 93 deaths of Bitcoin pronounced. So how many do you think there will be in 2018?
Oh, well, but using that chart as a guide, there'll be, 200 or 300, I suppose. But look, Bitcoin is unique. It's the fifth element. It's completely unique in that it's a non-reproducible, non-counterfeitable digital object that can be used back and forth electronically as a store of value. And that had never occurred before this brilliant Genesis block was mined based on the 2008 Satoshi Nakamoto white paper. And it means that all banks, all central banks are disintermediated. They are no longer needed. They're going to go the way of the music industry when Napster was introduced. It's just not going to survive in the same way that it did. And we often said that the biggest terrorists in the world are bankers like Jamie Dimon. This is the terrorist killer. This is going to put more terrorists out of business on Wall Street, City of London, than anything else. And I think it was divinely inspired.
Well, certainly it has generated a lot of cult sort of following, the disciples and apostles and
it's divine intervention.
And crazy.
This is a direct pipeline to God.
Okay.
Is that too much of a cult-like statement?
Yes, yes. And I wanted to say, you mentioned the dot-com bubble. You were around for that and survived that rise and fall. And you were right to point out that there were a lot of people always say, oh, Bitcoin's like pets.com. But what people are saying in response is like, no, this is the internet, and pets.com failed, but just like some of the altcoins might fail, but the things like Amazon, Google survived, and then new companies like Facebook and Twitter that weren't around during the first dot-com crash. So, things can happen, but there is a bit of sort of bubble hysteria going on that you see in this next headline. A small fintech stock surged 2,600% in a week after announcing it's a crypto company. Fintech plus cryptocurrency equals about $7 billion. That's how much the value of Longfin Corporation surged to after the microcap stock rocketed by as much as 2,600% since debuting right before Christmas. Most of the gains came when the company issued a press release saying it bought Zedu.com, a blockchain-empowered global micro-lending solutions provider that transacts only in cryptocurrencies. So even the CEO of this company even went on CNBC or Bloomberg, one of the financial news outlets, and he was like, this is too much. Why are you doing this? This is overvalued. But it was a penny stock, and it acted like an altcoin. Not even any altcoin, I don't think, has ever risen by 2,600% in a week.
Well, why is this happening? It's because the reason why Bitcoin was created as we celebrate the birthday of the Genesis block. It was created to do battle with central banks and banks around the world who are irresponsibly printing money without lending it out, simply to bail out bankrupt institutions around the world. And this has led to asset price explosion and the upward march of wealth to the top 0.1%. The global economy is incredibly distorted, unlike in any time in history. Billionaires are being created faster than one can possibly legitimize, given the underlying economy is growing quite tepidly. Warren Buffett himself said that a company that's growing at a multiple of inflation is probably doing it in a crooked way, because there's no way you can outstrip to an nth degree something that you're bound by laws of physics and laws of business to some degree. And here you have this company skyrocketing in value because there are literally hundreds of trillions of dollars of ill-gotten gains sitting in offshore accounts and sitting in hedge funds and sitting on Wall Street who are bored. They're looking for something to do. They see Jim Cramer on CNBC screaming about something, or they hear about this, and they just put the money available for this is instantaneous. Is there money to fight climate change? No. Is there money to increase labor wages, to restore dignity to society through jobs? No, 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 not at all. It's only money available to the kleptocracy and the oligarchs.
Well, I also think, heading into the last minute or two here, I want to say that, Janet Yellen, they're starting to pull away the punch bowl, and I think this could be also part of all of that cash. Trillions and trillions and trillions have been created in the last few years, and everybody's been waiting for something to happen. Remember, in 2008, 2009, the likes of Peter Schiff were saying hyperinflation is coming. His call may have been too early, but this could be some sort of hyperinflationary mindset that is out there. It's happening in cryptocurrencies, it's happening in the equity markets, it's happening in bonds, it's happening in everything. So this could be a last hurrah, like people like downing the drinks before the bar closes.
Well, to Peter Schiff's point, it's all hinged on the U.S. dollar, the world reserve currency, which is being held up through the shenanigans of coordinated central bank fraud. When somebody breaks rank, this is what's going to happen in 2018. One of the major central banks in the world will start buying Bitcoin. They'll break ranks from the other central banks that are colluding to aggressively expand money supply to bail out corrupt banks. But when one of these banks breaks off and says, you know what, we can triple, quadruple, quintuple our money by going into crypto, and you guys can go and fend for yourself, then the torrent of those trillions of dollars worth of cash that have been kept out of the economy due to illegal machinations by the central banks comes flooding in, and the real hyperinflation kicks in. The dollar crashes spectacularly. That's happening in 2018.
By the way, the Keiser Report was also born in 2009, not that we're all the same, but we were born the same year Bitcoin was.
I'm not Satoshi, by the way.
And we're in a new studio here, and I want to say we will be getting some sort of like graphics and stuff like that behind us. But I just want to introduce you to our new studio here in Raleigh. So happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to Satoshi Nakamoto's Bitcoin.
Here's Satoshi. I knew it. All right, well, stay tuned for the second half. A whole lot coming your way.